What if I told you that Joe Mazzulla made a decision no one expected? A choice that could change the Celtics' playoff rotation? Well, that's exactly what happened. In the game against the Grizzlies, the coach shocked everyone by starting Xavier Tillman in place of Jaylen Brown. But what does this really mean for Boston? Xavier Tillman was practically forgotten in the Celtics' rotation. With only 3 games played in the last 2 months and miserable averages of 1 point and 1.3 rebounds per game, few expected to see him in the starting lineup. So why did Mazzulla make this decision now? The first answer might be simple: necessity. Jaylen Brown was out, and Boston needed to fill that spot. But there were other options. Neemias Queta and Luke Kornet have been standing out, so why not one of them? What did Mazzulla see in Tillman that we didn't? Moreover, Tillman is far from being 100%. He has been dealing with a knee injury for weeks, and yet he was the chosen one. Could something bigger be happening behind the scenes? An interesting theory is that this choice was a way for Mazzulla to test his players. After all, the playoffs are approaching, and roster depth could be a decisive factor. Maybe the coach wants to see who is ready to step up when the team needs it most. But there's another more controversial possibility. Was this a message to the team's veterans? A warning to Kornet, Queta, and even Al Horford that no one's spot is guaranteed? Last postseason, Tillman played important minutes when Porzingis got injured. Could Mazzulla be setting the stage for that to happen again? If so, this game might have been a sign that he still believes in Tillman's defensive potential for critical moments. Let's be honest, it's unlikely that Tillman will have a major role in the playoffs, but this decision could signal something bigger. If Mazzulla starts giving him more minutes, what does that mean for the Celtics' rotation? Luke Kornet and Neemias Queta have been solid pieces in the rotation, so could someone lose playing time? Or is the coach just testing combinations for specific situations? On top of that, Tillman received a warm welcome from the Memphis crowd, showing that he is still a respected name there. Could that extra motivation help him become a relevant piece in the Celtics' rotation again? Joe Mazzulla has given us a puzzle to solve. Was this a strategic move, a test, or a clue about his playoff plans? Either way, the Boston Celtics have once again proven they don't follow an obvious script. And now I want to hear from you. Does this decision make sense? Or was it a mistake? Can Tillman earn more playing time? Or was this just a temporary choice? Have you ever wondered what it really means to join a championship contending team? Not every player adapts, and Torrey Craig made that very clear. The veteran arrived at the Boston Celtics, and despite his experience, admitted that he struggled to keep up with the team's tactical system. But what exactly is the issue? Can Craig become a key piece in the playoffs? Or is he just another temporary name on the roster? Torrey Craig joined the Celtics just over a month ago after being waived by the Bulls. With his experience and versatility, he seemed like a natural fit. But according to him, Boston's defensive complexity has been the biggest challenge. The Celtics don't just defend. They constantly shift strategies, something that requires a level of attention and adaptability that not every player can reach quickly. But does that explain his underwhelming performance? In 12 games, he's averaging just 3.3 points and 1.8 rebounds. For a team with solid bench options, Craig could end up being an unnecessary luxury. Or is he simply being underutilized? We know that Joe Mazzulla loves versatile players, and Craig fits that mold. His size and athleticism could be useful in the rotation, especially against physical teams in the playoffs. But does Boston truly need him? Or is this just another experiment that won't pay off? Looking at the roster, Craig has to compete for minutes with Sam Hauser, O'Shea Brissett, and even PJ Tucker. And let's be honest, if you don't stand out quickly, Mazzulla's rotation will forget about you. The Celtics need players who can contribute now, and patience with Craig may be running thin. Then there's a factor no one can ignore: money. The Boston Celtics are in the so-called second apron of the salary cap, which means severe penalties if they keep spending. Franchise owner Wyc Grousbeck has already warned that maintaining an expensive team for too long will be impossible. That means someone will have to go. And if we think logically, rotation players like Craig are among the first in line. If he doesn't prove his worth now, he could easily be gone next season. But what if he becomes essential in the playoffs? Can the Celtics afford to let him go? Torrey Craig still has time to prove himself, but the pressure is real. The Celtics need depth, but they can't afford to keep players who don't contribute regularly. The question is, will he establish himself, or will he be just another name that briefly passed through Boston? The Celtics are about to enter dangerous financial territory with massive contracts for Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, Derrick White, and Jrue Holiday. The team could surpass $500 million in payroll and luxury tax next season. And this isn't just an eye-popping number, it's a real problem. The NBA's new collective bargaining agreement imposes strict restrictions on teams that overspend. We're talking about penalties beyond just money, loss of draft picks, trade limitations, and an inability to add reinforcements in free agency. And the worst part? If the Celtics don't win a championship this year, this massive spending could be considered a catastrophic mistake. So, who's on the way out? Looking at the contracts, the two most expendable pieces seem to be Holiday and Porzingis. But here's the crucial detail. Despite his high salary, Porzingis' injury history drastically lowers his trade value. He has already missed multiple games this season, and the entire league knows that betting on him is a risk. This makes Holiday the more viable option to clear cap space, as he still holds high trade value. Looking at the numbers, Holiday is on a 4-year, $135 million contract, but his offensive production doesn't fully justify that cost for a team already stacked with scoring stars. He's averaging 11.2 points, 4.3 rebounds, and 3.9 assists, while shooting 35% from 3 solid stats, but not spectacular. So, if the Celtics need to clear cap space, trading Holiday seems inevitable. But would it be the right decision? Defensively, losing Holiday means giving up the team's best individual defender. Yes, Derrick White is an elite defender, but can he carry that responsibility alone? Is Boston prepared to face players like Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Devin Booker without a top-tier perimeter defender like Holiday? The biggest issue isn't just defense, it's experience and leadership. Holiday has been through it all in the playoffs. He doesn't crumble under pressure, and that's a quality you often don't appreciate until it's gone. The question is, who could replace him? Is there anyone on the market who could match Holiday's defensive impact? Trading Jrue for a player who only provides salary relief could backfire. If the Celtics do decide to trade Holiday, what are the best options? One possibility is sending him to the Detroit Pistons for Tobias Harris and a 2029 first-round pick. This move would help reduce payroll since Harris's contract expires sooner. But would he actually add value to the team? Harris, while an experienced and versatile player, has an unreliable playoff track record and wouldn't bring the same defensive impact as Holiday. The Celtics would gain a future draft asset, but this trade wouldn't provide immediate help, which could be a problem for a team at the peak of its championship window. Another alternative would be a deal with the San Antonio Spurs, bringing in Harrison Barnes, Malachi Branham, Blake Wesley, and a 2028 first-round pick. This trade would give the Celtics more depth and youth, but losing Holiday for unproven playoff players would be a major risk. Barnes is a solid veteran, but he has never been a game-changer for a title-contending team. Branham and Wesley are promising young players, but they'll need time to develop. For a team in win-now mode, this trade feels more like a gamble than a real solution. On the other hand, the most aggressive proposal could come from the Memphis Grizzlies. The Celtics could receive Desmond Bane and Vince Williams Jr., instantly raising the team's offensive firepower. Bane is one of the best shooters in the NBA and would form an elite backcourt alongside Derrick White. He's averaging 18.8 points, 6.0 rebounds, and 5.4 assists while shooting efficiently from 3. However, this deal entirely depends on whether Memphis would be willing to part with Bane, something far from guaranteed. At the end of the day, trading Jrue Holiday wouldn't just be about talento, it would be about financial survival. The Boston Celtics have a roster built to win championships, but they need to balance their finances to avoid long-term setbacks. If the team wins another title, ownership might be willing to absorb the costs and keep the group together for another year. But if they fall short, Holiday could be the sacrifice needed to keep the franchise competitive in the long run.